Hey YouTube, it's Anything Goes Saturday, and you can see that it rained again last night. I think you can see it, but I can't believe it rained. I thought it was going to be nice this morning. Here we're in mud again. Anyway, we've got this white oak on here, and when I cut it, normally I would cut, when I'm logging, I would cut this right here. But because I needed an 8-foot length, I brought this other piece together. Now, I think the bottom of this log will give me an 8x8 out of it. So I'm just going to cut this horn, as they call them, or knot, off of here, just so that I can get down to the cant that I need. You know, the Woodmizer, they really did a good job designing this thing. Look at how this just fits in there. I mean, this is sort of a common log or whatever size log, yet even with that big knob on there, I'm still going to be able to make this cut good through here. Just saying.
The Y right in here, he just wanted to clean it out to make sure that there's no rocks in it so we didn't hit anything. Now that we have the horn off, we're gonna go for our entire 8-inch can.
Against the car. Turn it 190 degrees. Yep.
Keep going, keep going. Alright, stop. Yeah, right here it's not touching the dog. It's not flat. It ends there.
No thanks.
How's it looking?
Not bad. Probably a bit. You end up with a 9-inch can. I had said about going down to the angry thing about the offset. I want to stick around here because it's really going to make that thing. Alright,
I'll get it done.
okay. Kiss off it actually down an inch. The grain on this thing doesn't look bad, so this should make a nice member of my crane. gotta sharpen the blade, you gotta clean that off of it.
Okay, here, what's this?
Yeah, that's the felt that's going on there. You gotta clean that off.
Yeah, because it's not allowed. Like, can you push that? Because I really can't get it.
You know what? Try my pretty back down to the end. Let's just sharpen that blade. Stop. I gotta do some maintenance on this saw, so I'm gonna just shut the camera off. I'm gonna take care of the felt wipers because I believe that rain washed the oil off of them. And also I want to sharpen this blade. I'll get back to you. Alright, so you guys who are new to the channel and haven't seen this before, I'm gonna sharpen this blade real quick. And here's what I use. I got this die grinder at Harbor Freight. I'm using this with this stone. It's a relatively smooth stone, alright, and a three-sided fine file. The file is to knock the burrs off. The grinder is to actually do the sharpening. And what I do is I find the weld so that I can keep track of where I'm at. Normally I mark these with a marker, but I'm not going to do that because it's, with the bright sun out I can easily see where I've sharpened. So that's what I'm going to do next. And I need to clean out this sawdust, which isn't helping matters. Also, the wiper that's down here, we're having a little issue with the wiper, and I'll show that to you. It's actually the first real thing that I can say with the Woodmizer that happened, so I'll show that to you after we get this sharpened. So I pulled an air line over to here. I got my glasses on. And I'm starting, like I say, where the weld is, which is right here. All I'm going to do is cut or sharpen the back of the blade and use the file to dress the front. Using my hands as a guide, running along the blade there. I have a finger behind it and one on it, and my thumb is on the die grinder, and I'm just holding it at basically the same angle running across there. Okay, and then all I do with this file, it finds the 10 degrees because you just put it on there flat. You can see there's light or no light. You want no light shining through, and all I'm doing is knocking the burr off. That's all. And there's a major difference there. It's grabbing my finger really well as compared to the other blade in front of the weld, which doesn't grab my finger. Okay? And the other thing you want to look for is, and I can't get this on the camera, but the face here where my finger is, the very face of the blade, if you see a dark top or bottom, you know you're not holding the grinder in the middle. So you got to hold the grinder in the middle so you get a nice clean shiny face on there, and once you have that, then you'll be in good shape. This works for me. It works very well. I don't need to send the blades out doing this. I don't know what else to say to you. I'm not sending them out as long as this works. That's not to say that it's as sharp as what they do, but to me it seems like it. Let's start right here. You guys that did not pay attention to your geometry teacher in school, I cannot stress how important geometry is in all the things that I do, I know for myself. For instance, you have a round object here. You're trying to make a flat cut. So what you need to do to be able to make that happen is you need to sharpen right through this part of the die grinder. So in other words, I'm going to hold it this way so you can see. You want the middle of the grinder to go through there. If you go up or down, if you go up this way, you end up cutting the top edge and not the bottom, so you don't have a flat face there. okay? If you go down this direction too far, you end up cutting the bottom and still don't have a flat face. So what you want to do is try and hold the die grinder. That's why I'm holding it with my fingers like this. Just hold it and run the die through the center, because the circle is widest through the diameter here, okay? So when you're holding that, because you're keeping the circle at one spot, you need to go through the center of it to be able to sharpen the blade properly. That's all there is to it. But geometry plays an important role in all the things that I do personally. I don't know about you.
Alright guys, so right now we're going to move the blade into a new set to be sharpened, because from there to wherever he moves it has already been sharpened. I believe it's like right here.
Yeah, right here.
Yep, there we go.
I don't know if you can get them to see this, but like what I look for is the angle, the face of this file right next to the blade there. Can you see that? Like it's open now, and now it's at the 10-degree mark.
Yeah, show it open. Right here, show it open.
Open there.
Yep.
And then right there it's at 10 degrees. All you're doing is looking for light, or a black line, which is a shadow. This side, and maybe we can show them how you can see the black line and knot when I'm doing this. With you. Alright guys, so Carmine's got the camera there, and we're going to see if I can show you what's not good sharpening like this and what is good. So you start the die grinder, and if you go too low, you notice how there's a little bit of dust on the top of that tooth, plus only the very bottom of it is shiny, like where my finger's touching it. That's no good. You gotta run through the center of the wheel through the blade. See, now you don't have that. If you see the reflection of my finger, you can see it the width of the blade. That's what I'm looking for. That tells me that that blade is good. Watch, I'll sharpen too high. Now if you look at this should be a good picture, because right there at the bottom where my thumbnail is moving there, you can see that there's like a black line, plus there's a little bit of sawdust on there. That means that you instead of sharpening it straight, you're sharpening it crooked. Okay, so that's not going to be good, because you need this front tooth to be like a chisel coming through that. So now if you look at it, you can see my reflection up here, and it's a full width shiny tooth. So oh, wait a second, I see a black mark. Let me just... Okay, so there you go. Alright, so that's nice and flat. This one's nice and flat. You're after this flat tooth here, because the set and stuff works with the flat tooth. As long as the tooth is flat, whatever you set this at, it'll work fine. Now I'm not going to set this saw blade because I've hit nothing. It's given me no indication that it's cutting crooked. It's just cutting slowed, and that's what I want to fix. Okay guys, thanks for watching this little sharpening. I don't know if you can see it guys, but right here's where the weld is, and right here's my last tooth. I guess you can't see that. So right here's my last tooth I sharpened, and right here's where the weld is. You getting that?
Yep.
Alright, so I'm just going to sharpen about 10 more teeth, and that'll be done then. die grinder over it, don't put a lot of pressure that direction, okay? Because you don't want to roll over the tip. You want to come away from the tip. The ideal thing is to come straight away from the tip. So my fingers are not rigid in this direction. I'm holding this up and down, I'm holding it sort of rigid, but I'm allowing it to come out, okay? I'm allowing it to come out and off the tooth. That'll stop it from getting a really bad burr on it that you can't really sharpen. Okay guys, so right here you can see the weld for the blade. Only got about 10 teeth to do. I've already run the die grinder over them. The one thing I want to say about the die grinder is, you know, you got to have your fingers in such a position that when you roll over it, you come away from the tooth, but you want to still sharpen it right to the very edge. So I sort of leave my fingers follow that. It's a nice gentle transition. So if you run over top of the tooth, if you hold this in that way too hard and run over the tooth, you're going to round the tooth off, and then you're not going to be able to, you know, file it as quickly as I'm filing it to get that straight edge. And then the tooth will be dull. So you've got to avoid that. Definitely a major difference there. Okay, so that's sharpened, and we're going to clean the sawdust out of this thing and start cutting again. So guys, I'm using this scraper that you would use for a gasket, a mechanic would use. Here's the thing. Anybody knows that if you scratch the paint, that's where the rust is going to start. So basically, I'm just using this very lightly to knock the sawdust off. I'm not going crazy scraping. I just can't reach my finger in there because of the blade. So, you know, you just want to knock that off. And sometime during the year, I would say to hose this out really good and then paint it again with the, you know, Woodmizer orange, because I think that would probably do better for you than anything else as far as keeping the machine nice for years, as well as keeping it from rusting. Okay, so we'll blow that out and then we'll be in good shape. Lots of dust. Hey guys, so Carmine was telling me the other day that sometimes what I'm thinking I'm not saying, and he thinks that I should do more talking than I do already. And I have to say that I know I talk a lot more about what I'm doing than most channels, but on the other hand, my redneck and my education come into contact with one another, and sometimes I verbalize all goofed up. I get the wrong names of things. But anyway, so I'm going to try and do that right now and explain to you what I'm actually looking for and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm looking at the side of this log. First of all, I need an 8x8 cant out of this for my crane. Now obviously this is, you know, it has nice wood on the edge there. There's a little crack in it. That crack probably only goes down there, I don't know, maybe 2 inches or so. I'm not really worried about that. But I need an 8x8 out of it. Now, naturally, the 8x8 can come out of different places. I could take it from the top, the bottom. I could move it around a little bit. The point of contention, I guess it would be, is that if you look here, I got this rounded edge here that's not going to make a nice 8x8. So I got to either be over that way from it, or I got to be down from it in order to avoid that. Alright, so then down on that side I got the same thing on the opposite end. So that's telling me that my 8x8 cant's probably going to be lower. When the log is this direction, the cant's probably going to be lower, just by looking at this edge, this wane, and the wane on that side. Now, then I come down here a little bit further and I've got this problem spot here. Okay, so this obviously is an old rotted out nut. So that's telling me I've really got to go down to get my 8-inch cant, if I'm going to get one, all the way at the bottom. Now, because that's so deep, I may not get an 8-inch cant out of here. Let me just measure this for a second. Alright, so I got 12 inches there. This thing's about 2.5 or so. So the log is 12, or the cant at this point is, well, it's basically a log yet. But at this side, I got 12 inches. However, if you look, I didn't flatten that edge out yet, okay? So that edge is still rounded. I only flattened this edge and this top. So anyway, I'm looking at this, I say to myself, okay, I got 12 inches here. I know I can get 8 inches in the center of a 12-inch cut, but if I measure down here, I'm losing 2 inches, all right? Now, 2 inches is exactly what is on the side, both sides of an 8-inch cut out of a 12-inch cant. So it's looking like I'm going to have to, because of everything I've just said, I'm going to have to take the cant from down low on this, or take the 8x8 cant down low on this log. Now as I roll it, I got to keep track of where I'm at, because even though I might end up cutting the wane off, I still have to remember that I got that big knot there to contend with. Not that I roll this side down and end up forgetting about that and then not getting my 8x8. And you can see this wane over here, you know, runs pretty low. It's down into here already. But as long as it's not more than 2 inches down, which you can see there, I should be able to get my cant out of this. So I'm going to set you back on the tripod, and Carmen's going to cut this thing up for us and see how we do. Alright, we cleaned this out, so we're going to shut up the doors and start doing some cutting. Alright guys, so this is the wiper holder that goes where the on the side of the Woodmizer, where it runs over the guide to be able to roll the Woodmizer back and forth on the carriage. Alright, so they have a felt wiper here. This technology is like 100 years old because they've used felt for a very long time to be able to, you know, just wick oil and stuff onto moving parts that aren't, you know, like moving really fast. My problem here, and this is the first real problem I've had with the Woodmizer, is that the glue they use sticks really well to the felt, but obviously it didn't stick to this. Now if you look at the glue, you see it's very, very slippery and shiny on this side. So what that tells me is that they put the glue onto the painted surface. So what I had Carmine do was, Carmine came over here and he wiped this off with alcohol, and I'm going to do it again. But you wiped it off with alcohol and then scuffed it with a little bit of sandpaper to take that shininess off of there so that we can glue this on there. So then what I use, and this stuff works fantastic, it's called 3M. It's for automobile gasket and weather strip adhesive. So what does that say? Black super weather strip and gasket adhesive. Okay, I use this stuff for a lot of things, and it's pretty much weatherproof and it doesn't really give you an issue. Now let me just grab a little bit of alcohol here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of denatured alcohol. You can get this at Walmart, and on a rag, and all I want to do is just clean this off. That's all. If you've ever done any adhesive work on cars, whether you've put any kind of glued on strip, ground effects or whatever, you know that they recommend using alcohol to clean the area that's going to get glued to. So the good thing about alcohol is it dries almost as fast as you put it on. So I'm going to just leave that sit for 1 second. I can see in the sun it's drying up. And then I'm going to put this stuff on here, because I believe this is a whole lot better than what they had there. You can see there's little round holes here. I don't know why they're there. I think they may have thought about putting a rubber piece in there. Rubber probably wouldn't work as good as this felt does. But anyway, I'm going to just go ahead and put this weather strip adhesive on here. This is good stuff. I mean, you get this on your fingers, it stays on there for days. So you want to work pretty quick with this, because this does not have to dry first. So we want to locate the notch there and pull it into the corner really good. And we're going to leave this thing sit for about a half an hour so that it gets nice and tight in there. Now this adhesive doesn't really get hard, but it stays, and it's not exactly tacky, but it stays sort of rubbery. You can, if you look in here, you can see I've got a lot of bonding going on in there. So that's what we're going to leave this sit for a while. Alright, so that's how we're going to fix that. Remember what I said, 3M. You know what, there's a lot of companies people complain about. I never complain about 3M. Their tape and all their other crap works really good. So buy 3M. I think it's made in America, I hope. Alright guys, so that on this side of the Woodmizer, that's the side over there where the big wiper went, or goes. On this side we got these smaller wipers. So it's basically a bolt, where's the hole at? A bolt runs through there. There's a wiper on both sides. It's a felt wiper. This is what it looks like. Now if you look closely, you can see this is a little bit dirty in here, so we're going to get a brush and we're going to brush that dirt out of there, and then Carmine's going to put a little bit of transmission fluid on these, and then we're going to put them back on there. That's all it takes to lubricate this. Okay guys, so these are what the wipers look like, and if you notice the back edge here is just got a little bit of dust on it, so that's not an issue. Okay, a little bit of dust, but the front edge here is kind of packed down a little. Now, you know, something like this is not expensive, and you can probably buy felt, I would imagine, at Walmart. I haven't checked. But here's the thing, you want to clean off some of the dirt, but you don't want to pull this apart. So I'm using basically a wire brush. I should probably use a nylon brush, but just, you know, tap that out of there, get the dirt off of it, and once you work with it a little bit, you'll see that it sort of comes back to the shape that it used to be, a square rather than that L shape. And you know, just it's only a little thing, but it's an important thing. So now you can take and put a little bit of transmission fluid on this and this, and then we can bolt them back together. So this is transmission fluid, and it's dirty transmission fluid, but let's face it, there's no gears here. All this is just a wiper to lubricate this a little bit. So I'm using used transmission fluid. Okay, so that'll be fine. That goes through the bolt hole. Number 2. And it'll find its way down to the bottom of the wiper. Now what you want to do here when you're putting these together, I just want to show you this, is you want to make sure that the felt wiper is down touching that. So you're going to keep the metal flat, okay, as he's tightening, but the wiper's going to put some friction on the bottom there. You can see there's already fluid coming out of there. Now these can probably be done, I would say, without even taking them off, but you're better off taking them off, because when you take them off like that, what happens is you're getting you know, you're cleaning them up, you're rejuvenating the shape of them. And again, it's not a big deal, but hey, little things are what count. I mean, 10/1000ths of an inch one way or the other on a bearing on a car could make a big difference. And I'm not saying that this is that critical, but it's just, you know, a little something to watch out for. Now you don't want to make them too tight either. Once they're together, you know, just snug them up, and then they'll continue to wick. That's good. You can see where the transmission fluid come out of there now even better. So that's all it takes for that side. And we'll go get this other one and we'll put this on for you. Okay guys, so there's the felt wiper. Carmine's going to get a little transmission fluid on there. And we want to get it on both sides, so we'll hold it this way and you can dump some on one edge and then put some on the top and stuff. Yeah, probably another cap full will do it on this flat side. And that's basically all you're doing. Although it might take a little more than a cap. It's just dump some in there. You know, I ought to put this in a squirt gun. I talked about that once before, but let's have another cap yet. I want to put a little more in there because we dried that out pretty good. Okay. Alright, and that should be good. So we'll take this then and we'll bolt that up. Okay guys, so what you want to do is, like, I'm grabbing a hold of this, I'm twisting it that way a little bit just to keep it square and against the wiper. You don't want it too tight against the wiper or against the guide, but you want it against the guide, and then Carmine's going to snug that up. So there's a bolt then on that side, and there's one on this side. So that's what he'll be tightening up there. And you want to keep holding it so it's against that guide. So I'm keeping tension on this. Loosen it up a little bit. Let me put more tension up that way. You can see how it's turned away when he tightened it there. Alright, go ahead, snug. Good. Let's tighten this one up, and then we'll be ready to go. Oh, the one thing I want to mention also is, if you look right in here in the pulley here, now we've been cutting a lot of wet stuff, everything's been wet, it's humid and stuff. Inside this pulley you want to take and get that cleaned out of there. Now it's not hard to do. All you gotta do is hold something there while you're moving the carriage back. It only takes like a foot or so to clean that out, but it also helps to keep the rope from slipping.
Alright guys, so we just put WD-40 on the blade and on the guide right here so it can move better. So it's basically good as new. Everything's moving smoothly and working smoothly now. So I'm going to take two 1-inch boards off this. Off the log, because it's not a can yet, I'm going to call it a log. When we kiss off the log, that flat edge is giving us the exact measurement. So when I go down, it is the exact 1 inch.
guys, so I told you why we made those first two cuts, and I want to try to be more diligent in explaining the cut. So now we've rolled it what I call one click, and Carmine knows what I mean. I mean to the next face. So you can see we got a nice, grain here basically in the center of this thing so far, so it's not bad. However, down at this end, this thing narrows out pretty much. So I'm just checking what I got off the bunk. 10 inches off the bunk will give me the biggest square cut of lumber that I can, maybe not the widest, but the biggest in height. See, 10 inches will put me right there. So I'm going to have Carmine cut 10 inches off the bunk, 10 inches plus one click, which is a 10 and a 16th. One cut here. And then I want to check this and see how it's looking, because this curve down here is going to goof me up. I got to get 8 inches out of this. 8 inches is right there, so you're looking from here down is where the cant's going to be, the 8-inch cant. Alright, somewhere from where this tape matches up. So it's from here down. The top stuff on the top here isn't going to help me. Alright guys, so we made the two cuts. We rolled the log one click, or 90 degrees. On this side, I've got 8-inch cant right to the top of the original log. On this side, I've got 9 inches. Now, I can go and cut right down to an 8-inch cant here, and then I can move the cant one way or the other that way. But I'm only going to go to 9 inches because I don't know if I have to move the cant up or down in the log. So I'm going to have Carmine cut it 9 inches. Now, up here, obviously 9 inches is going to give me a little bit of wane on this. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit of wane on the logs that go for the crane, but you can't have a lot of it. So this would be about a ½ inch piece of wane on here, and only goes maybe 18 inches. So we'll cut this at 9 inches off the bunk plus a 16th and see what we got after that. The grain's not looking too bad, although a little worried about this right here. I'm seeing it may have pulled, this branch may have pulled on that. I got to look at it once it's all together. If it only goes down an inch or so, doesn't matter with an 8x8, but we'll check it and see. Okay guys, so we're down to a 9x9 cant, and we got 2 points here that are issues. The one issue is the size of this wane. I don't think this is going to hurt an 8x8, but I'm not liking it. So if I go down a ½ inch, let me just check this. If I go down a ½ inch, I'll bring that wane over here about 2 inches. I'm not going to worry about a little bit of wane on that. So Carmine can come down here 2 inches. Now the problem here is on the opposite side here. I don't know if you can show what that knot underneath.
I think he meant I can come down here ½ inch.
We're going to cut down from kiss this and go down a ½ inch and cut it.
There you go. That's
but
what
on the opposite side of this, 180 degrees around,
yeah, on the bottom,
we have this great big knot down there. And that knot, either I have the knot showing that hole or I have the wane. I want to try and eliminate both to the best that I can. So I'm taking a ½ inch off here, roll it 180, take a ½ inch off the knot hole, and see what we end up with.
Alright, so that's what we're going to do, and then we'll show you guys what happens.
Yep. Okay guys, so right now we've got a 9 inch and we've got an 8-inch cant, 8 1/16, so we can trim that a little if we need to. But here's the thing. First of all, I want to show you this. That's a sharpened blade. You don't see any light on there, barely any light at all. This is a really nice straight cut, okay? However, I want you to look at this. Down where this knot is, if you notice, the wood becomes much different here. And it pulls the blade down slightly right where the knot is, and then it came right back out of that and finished the straight cut. Now that's not enough to hurt anything. And here's one of the issues here too. Now we have this knot in an 8x8, alright? It's not all the way through the board. And anybody who does construction work, at least, you know, if you read the codes and all, it basically says to you that you're allowed to have up to 20% hole, especially plumbers and electricians, through a joist, a floor joist. So I'm going to go with that rule for this. So this thing is about 1.5 inches. I'm going 8 inches. So what is that? 4 times, well, it would be 5. So 5 times 1.5 inches would be 5 inches plus 1, 2.5. So you're looking at about 8.5 inches. So we're really close to being where we need to be here with this. Okay? As far as it not affecting the structural integrity of the 8x8. So I'm not going to worry about that one. Alright, so we're going to turn this. Oh, and look what happened to the wane. We got it almost down to nothing on this side. Over here there is none at all. We do have a little on the opposite side, but we also have a 9-inch cut there. Now since I can't do anything with this knot, I can't get it out of there. Because I only got 6 inches this way, you know, 2 inches that way. I can't do nothing with it, so it's staying. So we're going to turn this, and we're going to look at this side and this side right now and determine what we want to do with this thing. But I just wanted to show you with a hand sharpened blade, you're not going to find better than that. And as far as the rocking side to side, there is no rocking. Okay, there's no rocking. So we've got a nice sharp blade there. Okay guys, so we're down to an 8.25 inch by 8.25 inch, and Carmine's going to trim off what's needed there. I'm going to leave this knot hole over here. I'm not going to worry about what that's going to do to the 8x8. There's also one on the top there. Now, it just goes down about 1/2 inch, and he's taken some off, so shouldn't have much of a problem with that, I'm hoping. It's amazing what you see after you make some little cuts.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to show you this real quick. So, from when you're looking at the log, well, Grandpa's over there. He doesn't need me for anything at the moment. He told me that I could show you guys this because I wanted to. So when you're looking from the outside of the log, this is the one knot that was in it. So when we cut it off, this is what gave us really one of our biggest problems, which was the knot in it along the side. So I just wanted to show you guys this because I thought this was pretty cool. So from the outside it's like this. And then on the other side, it's got the little hole in it. And so I think that's pretty neat because it's already like a bowl shape. I feel like if you do this right, someone could probably turn this into its own little bowl if you cut this the right way. Because you already got your hole started, all you gotta do is cut the rest of this out for this little ball here, but I don't know, but I think it would be pretty cool. So I just thought I'd show you guys that. I thought it was kind of neat. Alright guys, so this ended up being a great log.
8x8.
Yep, we got the 8x8. I'm just going to pull that back quick. It's actually a lot easier now since we did our maintenance to it. But I'm going to show you guys all 4 sides, just so you guys can see. Now you guys are going to see 2 imperfections. One is coming up right now. But that imperfection and the other one will not affect it. So let me undog it quick, and I can show you guys the other Jump up, scuff it. Then I'm going to turn it this way. There we go. Now along this side you will see the other imperfection. Right there. But that is not going to hurt it either. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to pull it back. Flip it again. Thanks. This white oak is heavy.
A little bit of weight in here that's not going to hurt a thing.
Yep, so we got a tiny bit of weight in here. And we also got some at the other end of this log, which you guys will end up seeing. But it's not going to hurt a thing. There's the other wane, but that's not going to hurt us. And then, I think that was 3 sides I showed you. Now I got to show you this last side. Doing this with one hand, this white oak is a very heavy wood. So, and here we go, this is the last side for you. Alrighty, so that's it.